Hey everyone, and today we're diving into something that I know can be a little bit loaded for people,
Yeah.
office politics.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to demystify it a little bit today. We're actually looking at a video script. This one's called Quietly Climbing the Ladder, Decoding Office Politics. Have you seen this one?
I have, yeah. It's an interesting take because I think a lot of times office politics is framed very negatively,
Yeah.
but they're really trying to give people practical tools, I think, to approach it ethically, strategically,
Yeah.
which is, I think, the right way to think about it.
Absolutely, because I think everybody has encountered it, whether they
Yes.
want to admit to it or not, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like that saying that I think is in this script, office politics is like the water you swim in.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. It's like, it's there. Whether you choose to acknowledge it or not, you're in it.
You are. And, and just like swimming, if you don't know what you're doing, you can get swept away by the currents.
Right.
But if you understand how to navigate them, you can use them to your advantage. And I think that's really what we're talking about here.
I like that analogy. So the script kind of breaks down these different players in the office ecosystem.
Okay.
So we've got direct managers, influencers, gatekeepers, networkers.
Okay.
Can you break those down for me a little bit? Because I feel like I've definitely encountered some of these characters.
Absolutely. I think the most straightforward are the direct managers,
Right?
right? These are the folks that give you assignments,
Yeah.
evaluate your performance,
Right.
and ultimately have a big say in your career trajectory.
Right. Approve your vacation requests.
Exactly. So understanding their priorities, their working styles, is going to be key to your success.
Okay.
Now, influencers can be a little bit trickier to spot, right?
Yeah.
These are folks who may not have manager in their title,
Oh, okay.
but they wield significant influence over decisions and opinions.
Okay.
So this might be that colleague whose opinion everyone seems to value,
Right.
or someone in a different department who always seems to have the inside scoop.
Okay, so how do we identify these influencers, right? Because it seems like they hold a lot of power, even though it might not be official.
Right. Pay attention to who gets listened to in meetings.
Okay.
Who do people go to for advice? Who seems to have a knack for getting things done? These are probably your influencers. They might be in a position to champion your ideas, connect you with the right people. So really important to have them on your radar.
Yeah. And then we have gatekeepers.
Yes,
Now, I'm already kind of picturing somebody.
I bet you are. So think of these as the guardians of access.
Okay.
It might be the executive assistant who manages their boss's calendar,
Right.
or the person who controls the budget for new projects.
Okay.
They might not have the authority to make the final decision, but they control the flow of information and resources.
Right. So, like, if you need to get something on the budget for the next year, it's not going to be your manager necessarily, but it's going to be that person.
Exactly, who controls the budget meeting agenda.
Right. Exactly.
Understanding their priorities, how they operate, essential.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And then last but not least, we have the networkers.
Yes.
These are the people who seem to know everybody in the company.
You got it. The connectors, the social butterflies of the office.
Yeah.
And this isn't just about being social, though. They genuinely enjoy connecting with people
Right.
and building those relationships, which can be incredibly valuable in a workplace setting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because if you're looking for something,
Yeah,
those are the people to ask. Like,
100%. Yeah.
who does this? Where is this?
Okay. They are masters at connecting the dots, and they can often open doors that you didn't even know existed.
So it seems like understanding these different players, it's not so much about like manipulation, more about strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about being observant, understanding the different roles people play, and then using that knowledge to navigate your workplace effectively.
So we've talked about all these players and how to identify them, but even when you understand all of that,
Right.
things can still get a little tense.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, personalities clash, priorities get mixed up, and then there's conflict.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's almost inevitable, I think, in any workplace.
Right, exactly.
You different people together with different personalities, different priorities, different, maybe some healthy egos in the mix. You're going to have some
Right.
friction, right? It's going to happen.
Yeah. And the script really emphasizes this point of when there is a conflict,
Yeah.
Focusing on the issue and not the person, which I feel like is something we all know.
Right.
But it can be so hard to do
Yeah.
in the moment.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Why is that so important in this context, especially if we're trying to navigate office politics ethically?
Well, because it really shifts the entire dynamic. So instead of making it like a battle of personalities, which can get really, really ugly, you're making it a collaborative problem-solving session.
Okay.
So when you focus on the issue at hand, you're showing that you're interested in finding a solution that works for everybody.
Right.
Not just about, winning an argument or scoring points.
Okay.
And that can be really disarming in a conflict situation.
Yeah, and it makes me think of something I heard recently about how, like, when people disagree, if you frame it as a debate, it sort of changes the mindset a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting.
Absolutely.
Well, the script, they actually have this whole 3-step approach for navigating conflicts in this way.
They do.
Have you looked at that at all?
I have, yeah. It's a really practical approach, and I think, if you can remember these 3 steps, it can be really helpful.
Yeah, so break it down for us.
Okay. So step 1 is you want to acknowledge the other person's concerns, even if you don't necessarily agree with them.
Okay.
It's about just validating their perspective, right?
Right.
And something as simple as, I understand why you might see it that way.
Right.
Can go a long way in kind of diffusing a tense situation.
Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, so step 2 is you're going to shift the focus to the bigger picture. So you're going to remind everybody involved of what the shared goals are, what are we all working towards?
Right.
And this helps reframe the conflict in a more constructive light.
Right, like we're on the same team here.
Exactly.
Even if we disagree on how we get there.
100%. And then step 3 is propose a solution.
Okay.
And this doesn't mean you have all the answers.
Right.
Right? But it shows that you're being proactive, you're solution-oriented. It could be something like, what if we tried this approach?
Yeah, the forward momentum.
Exactly. It takes it from kind of a standstill to like, we're moving forward.
Yeah,
And I think the bonus with this is when you handle conflicts constructively like this, it demonstrates leadership and problem-solving skills, which are always going to be valuable in any work. It's like you're getting office cred even when things are a little bit messy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we've talked about like navigating conflicts.
Yes.
But then there's this whole other part, which is building ethical relationships.
Right.
And this, I will say, is where it gets a little, I don't know, like when I think of office politics, there's a part of me that still goes to like the schmoozing. Like, is this genuine? How do you make this genuine?
I think that's a great question.
Right.
Because it gets to the heart of what ethical office politics is all about, right? So for me, building genuine relationships in the workplace is all about authenticity and mutual benefit. It's not about using people to get ahead.
Right.
It's about, connecting with them on a human level, finding ways to support each other, recognizing that everybody has something valuable to offer.
Okay, so how do you do that genuinely then? Because the script talked about a couple of tips, like
He does.
Be genuinely curious, give before you get, and maintain professional boundaries.
Yeah.
So how do you put that into practice?
Yeah, so I think they're all interconnected, right?
Yeah.
So the first one, be curious. I mean, that's really just about being interested in the people that you work with.
Yeah.
Ask them about their careers. What are they working on? What are their interests outside of work? And people can tell when you're not being sincere, right?
Yeah.
So approach these conversations with genuine curiosity.
So treat your colleagues like people.
Yes.
Not just coworkers.
100%.
Okay.
And that ties into the second tip, which is give before you get.
Right.
Right. So look for ways to help your colleagues. Maybe it's lending a hand on a project. Maybe it's sharing your knowledge or expertise.
Right.
Maybe it's just being a sounding board for their ideas. Creating that culture of reciprocity is so important.
Right. Like you're all in this together.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think finally, maintaining professional boundaries is key because this means no gossiping, no over-promising, no crossing those personal lines. It's about being friendly and approachable while still maintaining that level of professionalism.
Right, because nobody trusts the office gossip.
Exactly.
And you don't want to be that person.
You don't want to be that person.
Yeah. And it all comes back to like being authentic, building those relationships that are based on like actual trust.
Absolute
trust and mutual respect. Yeah.
So I'm picking up what you're putting down about the relationships.
Okay.
But the last part of this video script focuses on leveraging politics for growth.
Okay.
And that feels a little icky to me.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, like it
It can
sounds,
be a little unnerving.
yeah, like I don't want to be that person.
Right. And I think in the context of this script, what they're really getting at is not about being manipulative or stepping on other people to get ahead. It's really about understanding the organizational landscape.
And then using that knowledge to kind of like advance your career in a way that aligns with, you know, with your values and the company's goals, right? It's about being strategic.
Okay, so you're not playing the game, you're just understanding the rules of the game.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And I think one important aspect of that is being strategic about your visibility.
Okay.
So it's not about bragging or anything like that or, you know, taking credit for other people's work.
Right.
But it is about making sure that your contributions are being recognized, you know?
Right. So if you're someone who puts their head down and does the work,
Yes.
you also need to make sure that work is seen and appreciated.
100%. And that might mean speaking up a little bit more in meetings or, you know, finding ways to share your accomplishments with key stakeholders. And then I think finding mentors who can guide and support you is another important piece here.
Yeah, like having a guide in this world
Exactly.
who kind of knows, like you said, the landscape.
Exactly, yeah. And a good mentor can offer, you know, invaluable advice. They might be able to open doors for new opportunities. They can even be like a champion for your ideas within the organization.
That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah, so it sounds like this leveraging politics is really just more about like taking ownership of your career.
Yeah.
Is that what you would say?
I think that's a great way to put it, yeah.
Okay.
It's about, you know, building strong relationships. It's about making sure that your contributions are recognized. It's not about being somebody you're not. It's about being your best self, strategically and authentically.
It does make it feel a little less icky to use that term, honestly.
Good, good.
So as we wrap up here,
Yeah.
if we're going to kind of bring this all home,
Yeah.
what would you say are the key takeaways you want our listeners to walk away with from this deep dive?
Well, I think first and foremost, office politics are a reality, right? Like in pretty much any workplace,
Yeah.
ignoring them isn't going to make them go away.
Right.
But you can learn to navigate them
Right.
ethically and effectively.
Yeah, and like we said, like swimming with the current, not against it.
100%, right.
Yeah.
It's about understanding those currents. Second, you know, building genuine relationships is so crucial in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. So be curious about your colleagues, offer support when you can, build your network.
Right.
Those connections are going to be invaluable.
And then when those conflicts come up,
Yeah,
which we know they will, you know, really trying to approach them constructively.
absolutely. Focus on the issue, not the person.
Right.
Always try and find a win-win solution.
Yes, I like it. Well, this has been really, really insightful.
Good.
For our listeners out there who are now ready to become like office ninjas,
Yeah.
what's like one final thought to kind of leave them with?
I think it's just start paying attention.
Right.
Like, think about your own workplace. Who are the influencers? Who are the gatekeepers? Who are the networkers? What are the dynamics at play?
Right.
Once you start to kind of observe and really understand those unwritten rules, you'll be amazed at how much more effectively you're able to kind of navigate your own career journey.
That's like opening your eyes to the game that's already being played and realizing you have the power to like play it well.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, this is fantastic. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
It's my pleasure. I always enjoy chatting with you.
Likewise. And we will catch our listeners next time for another deep dive.